Chelsea, Arsenal, and we're going to talk about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the former captain of Arsenal, going to be facing off against his former side. Pop quiz, because I know Chris Sutton likes a quiz. Who was the only other player to score for both sides in the Premier League era? Because football only existed from '92 onwards, apparently.
Cesc Fabregas.
Spot on, and it only took you a second or two.
There you go.
That's knowledge. Or you read the stat pack that was sent to you before this. Anyway, let's talk Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Why would you expose me like that?
Pardon?
Why would you expose me like that? Yeah, I read the stat pack.
Oh, at least you've done your reading. I'm not sure Ray did. But anyway, let's talk about the emotions. The emotions of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and how he's going to be feeling. I'm sure you saw the little montage where he played. It's been going viral online, and he's saying it's nothing personal, Arsenal, etc. I know he's been made to say it, but he still did it. What do you reckon is going to be going through his head today? Ray?
Well, certainly it's a massive game for Aubameyang. You know, I knew him quite well when he was at Arsenal. I used to go on tours and that with him, and he was a really good lad, to be fair. He was very good for the dressing room. But Mikel Arteta made that big decision. He had a lot of problems with certain players in the dressing room, and he had to move him on. But he'd be desperate today. He'd be absolutely desperate to get on the score sheet. I'd like to see a celebration. That'd be interesting if he does score, because I'm sure he might run down to the bench, and I don't know what sort of reaction it will be. But yeah, he's a top striker. You know, on his day, if he can get the service, the right service, you know, he's certainly dangerous in that box, and he knows where the back of the net is. So he's going to be a player that really have to, Saliba or Gabriel will have to really watch closely and mark him out the game if they can.
Chris, your thoughts on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang?
Yeah, he's a player, I think, who will play this game and feel that he has a bit of a point to prove to Mikel Arteta. I thought Arteta was right to get rid of him at Arsenal. I thought he was in a bit, listen, great player, which he was. I thought that that Arteta maybe felt that Arsenal were in a bit of a comfort zone, and Aubameyang was a bad influence on some of the younger players. You know, we're seeing some brilliant goals. We know that he is a great finisher. And if Chelsea get the a hungry Aubameyang, then they have a real player on the hands. But as I say, at Arsenal, I thought that Arteta was brave to challenge a senior player within the squad and out him. But it was the right thing to do, and Arsenal have gone up another level since he's gone. But in terms of what can he bring to Chelsea, if Chelsea get a fit and hungry Aubameyang, then they will have a top striker on their hands. But that's the question: which Aubameyang are Chelsea going to see?
He has previous, of course, Mikel Arteta, for getting rid of high earners in the dressing room, Mesut Ozil being the first, former teammate as well, by the way. But since you know him, Ray, I'm going to ask you this. We've all watched that documentary about Arsenal, and it's the club that has approval of what actually goes out. Was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's dismissal, his exit, treated fairly for you in the documentary? Or do you think he was perhaps a little bit hard done by?
Well, no, I think it was fairly. I mean, I think there was discipline problems in the dressing room, which Mikel Arteta, obviously, he's learned from people like Arsene Wenger and obviously Pep Guardiola, how he deals with players. And he, as you rightly said there, he had a lot of deadwood, if you like, who he wanted to get out before he turned up. So it was like Mustafi, you had Kolasinac, you had Ozil, as we mentioned there. And that was difficult for him at times, because the players these days have a lot of power. They don't have to go anywhere if they don't want to. They're on big contracts, so that was a difficult situation for Mikel Arteta. But I think, you know, I think he can't feel hard done by. I mean, that's what it is. The dressing room is the dressing room. He wasn't fitting in properly under Mikel Arteta, so as Chris says there, he made a big decision to move him on, and I think it was the correct decision also, because, you know, you've got to set examples for young players, and they had a good young squad. And at times, if you're being late, you're not turning up for training on the right time, it just sets a bad example for the rest of the group. So it was a big decision, but no one's talking about Aubameyang, Arsenal fans. They're talking about Jesus now. So, you know, they made sure they went out and got a replacement who can maybe be better than Aubameyang, which I think they have.
OK.
You know what, Adam? Adam, it's really courageous of Arteta to do, what he did. That essentially Arsenal were a good team with Aubameyang in, but Arteta wanted to change a culture at the club where Arsenal aren't just a good team. He wants them to be a great team, and we can, we've seen this season evidence of an Arsenal team with a different character, a resilience about them, and players who play for each other and work hard. And Aubameyang at the end at Arsenal, quite frankly, wasn't working anywhere near as hard as he should have been. He was a bad influence on the younger players. So Arteta was quite right to out him.
But ultimately, Chris, you could also say that until they win a trophy, that the critics will still be out there, because the last time they did lift some silverware, who was scoring the goals? Who was wearing the captain's armband? It was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang under that lockdown period in the FA Cup. Yeah,
and I think it's fair for you to bring that up. But we're talking about Arsenal. I don't think they've had a top four finish since 2016. And we've seen a different Arsenal this season in terms of their league form. And I suppose the big question, about today's game, doing the round sort of is the fact that are Arsenal serious contenders? If they beat Chelsea on their own patch today, I think they answer that. Everybody thinks that Arsenal this season are going to fall away. They're going to have a blip. They're going to get tired. Is the squad strong enough? Today's a big game in that respect. But, we can't argue that they haven't gone up a level under Arteta this season. They have. They're a good young team. They're a team which works hard for each other. And I think, Ray goes to all the games. There's a feeling at Arsenal within the stadium at this moment in time that Arteta is building something which is going to be really special. So it's about progression. And I think he's certainly done that. And part of that was part of that process was getting rid of Aubameyang and being brave enough to do so. And with Gabriel Jesus, they have a striker who really works for the team.
Ray, just your thoughts on that, because most of the Malaysians, we can't go to the stadium and experience what it's like there, the atmosphere. I want to know from your perspective, when's the last time you felt the electricity in the air like it is right now? When was the last time you could actually feel it so tangible?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a real connection, which they didn't have going back a few years ago, with the fans and the players. The players are working hard. I think the fans really respect the players at the moment, what they're trying to achieve. They're really behind Mikel Arteta. I think the club itself, the board is behind Mikel Arteta as well. So it'd be interesting to see if they do any business in January in the transfer window. But certainly being at the games, I feel a different edge to the team. They start on the front foot. They're very, very quick at the blocks, if you like. The first 10, 15 minutes, they're really hunting impacts and winning the ball back in good areas. So, it's a really good atmosphere at the moment. And there's a real excitement about watching Arsenal at the moment. They're a really good attacking team who play some great football. I think it's a real test today. Certainly is a test, because you saw them go away to United and didn't play well and lost the game. So today it's all about getting to Stamford Bridge and really starting well and maybe trying to nick that first goal, which puts Chelsea on the back foot.